I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
People keep asking me what it's like to be on parole and everything, and what the things expect when you get on parole. I will tell you this. Before I got out, I was terrified of parole officers. I mean, people. I heard horror stories from everybody else saying they drop on you all the time, which is not a big deal. You can drop on me right now, man. I don't care. But they said they was always trying to get you put back in prison, always trying to violate you. And that might be true for some people. I've even had people out here that I met and said, yeah, they'll try getting you. But that's not been the case with me. But we'll talk about 4 or 5 things that you need to do when you get out from parole. When you first get out, you think you got 48 hours to report to your PO. If I remember correctly, I had 48 hours. And I'll tell a little story about that. The first time I went in there, there's 2 people sitting there. Well, there was a guy sitting over here a little farther from me, and this woman came in and she sat down, pretty close to me. And we're on like this bench, and he's on this other bench. And I'm not knowing what to expect. I'm thinking, pro board's just going to say all kinds of crazy things. That ended up not being the case. This woman starts going through her Facebook, scrolling and showing me things. This other dude's talking to her. I guess, they see each other all the time when they come to see the PO. She tells him, yeah, I got a cousin in prison that I need to write. I just ain't got time. Well, they do emails now. I said, you could write him right now while you're waiting. And the dude says, yeah, that's true. You could write him. Send him an email. And she said, she really didn't want to. That's what it was. People got time to do things like that. Just a lot of them don't. Anyway, so I see the PO, and he tells me, look for a job. I got to start looking for a job and this and that. And one of my stipulations, no alcohol, and it wasn't that bad. I was kind of surprised. He even helped me try to find a job. He'd say, go check this place out, or he'd call places for me. He really tried. It still took me about a year to get a job. Now, one of the things I think ex-cons have a big thing with, and I know it was a big thing with me after 29 years in prison, that was just dealing with society. You get into this, when you spend a long time in prison, I think it even happens after a few years, you get this mentality, because people think different in prison, right? So when you come out, things are different. You got to kind of check yourself sometimes. I remember this guy cutting in line in front of me. I've told this story before. And I said, hey man, you trying to punk me out? He did not even know that he had cut me off. That's not the point. The point is, we was having words. It was about to become more than that, actually, until I realized he didn't even realize what he'd done. People out here, you need to pay attention to your surroundings. You really do. My first thought was, like you're in prison and you're in a canteen line or you're in a chow line or whatever, and somebody cuts in front of you. You don't let that happen. You don't. Hey, no, you ain't cutting in front of me, dude. Because sometimes somebody like in the chow line will come up to where one of their friends just, hey man, let me get in here. No, don't let them do that. That was one of the biggest things I had a problem with when I first got out. It just seems like, well, respect in prison and respect out here is 2 different things, but it still seemed like there's a lot of disrespectful people out here. I'm not saying everybody, because there's a lot of good people out here. There really is. There's people who go out of their way to help you. There's people that's very respectful and polite, but there's others, man. It seems like it's more than when I went to prison. They were very disrespectful. So when you get out of prison, you got to check yourself on that. You also got to realize that people out here are not thinking the same as when you went into prison. They're not thinking the same, because you're coming out with a prison mentality, and if you spend a lot of time in prison, you're coming out thinking that people used to think the way they used to. No, they don't. Most of them don't, except for maybe old timers and stuff. So you got to take all that in consideration, because if not, you could find yourself getting arrested again or something. So I had to look for a job, and it took me a while to find one. One of the things I still have problems with is sitting in restaurants. I still have to sit with my back to the wall. I gotta see everything. I don't like crowded stores, you know, that's real crowded. I'm trying to get over that, man. I just can't seem to do it. But these are things that you're gonna run into. You know, you're gonna have to deal with this, man. There's some people that get out of prison and say, man, I just can't deal with it, and they'll do something to go back on purpose. I don't think it's very many, but there's people that do that. I know one guy in prison that did that. He said, man, I couldn't take it out there. I had to come back, man. I said, man, you did all that time to get out, to come back. He says, man, I tried to make it out there. I just couldn't. And I said, did you have like family support and stuff? He goes, yeah, I had family and friends out there. I just could not deal with society. I said, well, why didn't you just go out in the woods somewhere, you know, get away from everybody? He goes, man, I don't know nothing about any of that. He goes, all I know is I couldn't deal with it. And so I came back, and actually that made him more dangerous because he did not want back out. He did not want back out in society. So there wasn't no, if you got into it with somebody, he's fighting them. He's taking a blade to them because he don't want to go back out. These are things that you have to deal with, man. You know, and I hope people that get out, I hope they... One of the things that I've always been told was not to return to where you committed your crimes at. I know I could go back to where I was born and raised and have no problems, but for a lot of people, they say you get out and you go back to the same environment you was in, you go and do the same thing over and over again. I can see how that would happen. So if it takes you moving somewhere else away from the people who you grew up around, committed crimes with and stuff, then do that. And prison sucks, man. I don't know about anybody else, but it sucks, and I do not want to go back at all. So that's all I got for you. A little short video, and I thank you for watching.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are